Yeah, Dr. Matsanga, we are live. Just log in back. Just log back in. Thank you. Let's continue from there, Dr. Matsanga. Okay, 30 seconds and complete your issue about the cargo manifest. Dr. Matsanga?
So, as you know, I am a public prosecutor for the public, a watchman, an international watchman. If you touch people internationally, I come for you. I will expose, I will defend in international sphere everywhere. I've struggled for this. I have no problem with it. I'm not a Kenyan, but I'm only saying in normal circumstances, a government institution should bring a cargo manifest and account it to the taxpayers. And said, I went to Greece and printed 64 million ballots. And they are here, we have used 40 million, or we have used 60 million, and there is 2 million left, or 3 million left. Accountability is part of an election. If the election, the papers that you used are not equivalent to what the papers in the ballot box, I have observed the elections in 52 countries since I was born 67 years ago. I'm now 67. I have been in East Timor. The first thing whenever I go for elections, observation, I ask the commission to give me the paperwork. And I observe my election or monitor the election from the paperwork of the printing. How many ballots did you print? Because that is where theft is. Because engineer, that's where the theft starts from. If you have printed more ballot papers, then you have eaten the election. You have destroyed the election. So why has Wafula Chebukati refused up to today to tell us how many kids, Kim kids, he brought in the country? Where is the cargo manifest of the Kim kids? How did the Smartmatics enter with Kim kids in this country? How many did they bring? Why did the serial numbers not match where Muhammad had to agree that they mismatched the serial numbers? So the percentage of missing the serial numbers, how many out of 46,000 polling stations, how many serial numbers were mismatched?
Thank you, Dr. Matsanga. That is a good question you are bringing in perspective, and it was actually in court. So let's wait for the judges to give a fair verdict depending on the evidence which your team brought to court. The other question we are going to ask you is about the credibility. You have actually spoken about the cargo manifest. But right now, when you are speaking about the ballots were stuffed in various parts of the borders, especially the neighboring countries of Kenya, but we had the Azimio agents. So what really happened that these Azimio agents didn't? Go ahead.
Let me ask you.
Go ahead.
Azimio agents are not supervisors of elections. You studied engineering, I studied political science,
sure,
which is the subject touching politics. Azimio agents are not supervisors of the elections. They cannot, even if, so you want to tell me if there are no agents, then you steal?
No, I'm not saying. I mean, what's the purpose? What's the work of the agent?
I am not saying.
Yes.
I'm not saying you. If the engineer, if there are no agents, therefore you should steal. No. Even if there are no agents, the Electoral Commission, the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, must supervise that election there and then. Even if UDA of His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto had no agents in Nyanza, there was nobody allowed to steal any single vote. That's what we call integrity. So don't tell me that question of you having agents. Agents are there. In fact, in some countries, there are no agents. Some countries, the agents are even 200 miles away from the polling station. Am I wrong?
You are true. That's true.
In the UK, I have voted in the United Kingdom since 1987. I live up to today. I keep on voting, but I've not seen an agent. I've seen only, I even worked as a Labour Party mobilizer up to the delegates conference for Croydon Central constituency. I was going to be one of the first MPs, an African, tall like I am, to enter the Parliament of Republic of Her Majesty's Parliament in the United Kingdom. Because I'm a delegate of Croydon Central of the Labour Party in the National Executive Council of the Labour Party. But we don't have agents in every polling station because the election is manned, is supervised, so that no vote, whether it is the vote for Ruto or whether it's the vote for Raila or Wachikoya, Reverend, that vote is guarded by the Electoral Commission, Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. You can't delegate powers to somebody else. In fact, the Kenyans should make a law in the future that you remove, you know what you do? Abolish these agents being there. Abolish them. They create more confusion for nothing. In fact, the agents create violence. Yeah? They should not be there. If I were a Kenyan, I would move a motion in the parliament to say polling stations, the vote is in the hands of the Electoral Commission. And let them bring and account the vote. You don't need the agent there. What role does the agent do? The agents bring more confusion at the polling station. The mandate to govern, to account, verify, tally, lies squarely with the IABC, which is the Electoral Commission of Uganda, the Electoral Commission of Nigeria, the South African Electoral Commission, the Ghanaian Electoral Commission, and other commissions across the world. So you don't need agents. Agents come by the way. In fact, you're bringing agents, they're starting at the polling station because each has interest of his party. In some countries, agents stay 5 miles away. So to vote, go down, drop your voter, and go away. That's what we call credibility of an election, integrity of an election. So the question of agents, I think not going to listen to that crap. That because the agents are missing, therefore you have to steal the vote.
You see, Dr. Matsanga, what you are probably putting forward so that our viewers also who are listening and really having very tough questions, some of the questions which are really coming forward here, they are saying, you know, Kenya is still a third world country. We are in Africa where democracy, we are still struggling to ensure things work in our favor. And by the way, even having the Supreme Court listening to these particular petitions and giving the petitions time for the submissions is really something we can be proud of. So when you say that agents are not needed in the polling station, but still we are having so many trouble, so many problems, so many, right now as we are speaking today, there is one of an election official who died, and we up to now we have not been given the information as to why the gentleman, a young gentleman at 53 years old, leaving a very young family out there, he was killed, and from the allegations we are getting from the newspapers, from a couple of journalists, is that his death might be related to election. So what's your take, Dr. Matsanga? We are still on a trajectory, but we are not there yet.
First of all, the very fact that agents are the ones who even profile these returning officers. Did you know that? They are the ones
Matsanga,
who said this.
You are throwing me under the bus. I'm asking you a question, Dr. Matsanga.
Yes, you are asking me a question. I'm answering you very technically as a science.
Go ahead.
I am not.
Yes.
I am telling you, the agents profile these returning officers and the POs are profiled by the agents. There are quarrels. You saw the quarrel at Bomas. Who was starting the quarrel? Agents. So agents, the IEBC has the power to hire people who can guard an election, a material, a polling station, a vote. The votes are guarded. So this excuse of saying Africa is a growing what? So when will you grow? This that we are growing. When will you grow? Do you grow by breaking laws? Do you grow by hammering people, killing people, and throwing them in the rivers because of an election? Is that the way you grow? No. I hate people who reason that we are growing, therefore we should make mistakes, and as we grow. No. Let's clean our politics. If it is elections that trigger, in fact, one of my papers that I will send you next week, now that I know the man I'm talking to.
Thank you.
Does Africa need elections? Do you need election? Do you yourself? You ask your dad, why did he wake up to vote? To get what? To get thieves? You are voting to have thieves to come and steal your money and then beat you up. Isn't it? You have paid them the money to conduct an election. Does Africa need elections? Do we understand the difference between elections